Hi, in this tutorial we'll look at how we can style the whole calendar, then make separate components for different event types. Then we will look at time slots and steps inside the calendar, and then we will look at how we can add drag and drop and resize functionality to our calendar. Hi, in this tutorial we will cover some advanced things about drag big calendar. I have already made a tutorial, a crash course, a basic crash course about drag big calendar. So if you want to check it out, I will put the link in the description. And basically it talks about how you can use drag big calendar for basic things, and it covers most of the things you will need to get started and to make a scheduler in React. Making events, mapping them, and all kinds of different stuff. I've talked about some basic styling and some basic things which I will discuss in this tutorial. I have discussed some basic things about that in the previous tutorial crash course as well, so you can check them out. So here is what we will go through in this advanced course. So calendar styling, we talked about it somewhat in the crash course, but I will style it a bit more, and so you will see what you have in store. And then custom events, I also displayed some custom events there, but I will display proper custom event components here, and will explain use cases as to why would you need to do that, so you will get a better explanation. And then steps and time slots, that is the basic thing, but still you wouldn't need it normally. And then drag and drop, so you can drag and drop events in the basic calendar as well. So you can give the ability to the user that a person can drag an event from one day to another day, or within the same day from one time slot to this time slot. So we'll see how that works as well. So first of all, calendar styling. Right now the most basic view, if you don't apply any styles, is this for the big calendar, and it's very simple and very basic. And you would, if you are using it in your app, you would want to theme it according to the styles of your app, and each web app would have its own theme. Maybe your website has a bluish theme, maybe a reddish theme, so based on that you will want to stylize it a bit. So right now I will style it a bit based on a concept theme of a website which has a blue theme, so blue and white and that kind of colors. So the way we will style is let me refresh you. There is no such mechanism like props or something where we can pass props for each style or something. If you want to style it, you have to basically include a CSS file in the component where you are using the React calendar, and then you have to basically override the styles of the classes which are being used for different things. So for the header, let's say this, if I inspect, you can see that it has a class of RBC header. So we can target the RBC header class and stylize it. Then for the events, we right now there are no events shown, but for the events we have an RBC event class, and then for background events we have RBC background events. Then for these, I think it's time getter or something, we will see. So the different kind of classes based on what is present here. So yeah, let's style it. So right now I have this calendar component open, and I have some basic default props set, so because we will be using them in our next examples. So the localizer is a required prop, and all these are not required, but I'll just set them based on the examples I will show in the tutorial ahead. So if we included our index.css file, so let's style it. So first of all, I will like to style the header, and its class is RBC header, as I show to you. So I will give it a color of 79B8E4, which will be a light bluish color. Yeah, this Then let me give it a color of white, padding of 10 pixels, and a font size of 12 pixels. So let's see. It is already better than, uh, a lot. It's already better than what was present previously. So let's see. Now let me apply the styles for events. The styles I am applying to events is not, you can either do two things. You can either style the event component that Rackbay calendar provides, or you can try to basically hide it in some way, and then you can put your custom components on top. So because I will put my custom components on top in the next part of the tutorial, I will basically try to hide as much stuff as I can. So basically let me pass events here so that we can see what the styles are doing. So yeah, so I'm taking the events from this constant file, which we'll see in a bit. Now you can see that there are three events. So first of all, I would like to hide this thing, this header. So if you inspect it, you can see it is known as RBC event label. I will want to hide it because it's a separate thing. So I will say RBC event label display none important. Now you can see that is on. Good. Now I would also like to finish the padding, border and border radius for these events. That depends upon you if you want to, but I will do it because I will have to use custom components in the next example, and I don't want to have any custom styles. I don't want to the default event styles to pop out basically. So I will give it a padding of 0 pixel, then give it an important, border radius 0 pixel and important, and then border none important, and then I will want to give it a color of transparent and then important. So right now you can see that the events are still present because you can see the hand sign, but I've given it a color of transparent and I've removed the border, padding and everything. So now it would be easy for me to place the event on top. And then I will give the time slots a color. The time slots are basically these things on which the events are placed. So I will say RBC time slot. Let's give it a background of EAF3FA. This is a light white color, and then a color of slightly light blue, so that would be 74A4C3. So now you can see that the calendar has kind of changed. It has a nice bluish look instead of what was present before, which was very dull. And also if I remove this, I would like to show another thing. The events are right now, events have a width of around 90 to 95%. They don't take the full width of this container. So I will like to have span the events to the full width. So I will basically do RBC events container width 100%, and then I can also say important to that. Then you can see that they span the whole width of the container. So cool. Let me place it here as well. Cool. And also let me give this, there are two types of events here. I will give it at a later point of time so that you can get the explanation. And also I would like to give the time slot groups a min height, because we will play with the time slots and steps in the next portion. So I would like to give it a min height of 120 pixel. Cool. Yeah, so that is it for the styling. You can also style it any way you want, but I think that is very um, a simple, decent looking styling. So one portion is done. The next portion is custom events. Now, in the previous basic crash course as well, I showed you how you can use custom components, but they weren't as custom as you would want. So let me present a scenario. Basically we have different type, we may have different type of events on our calendar. So if it's an appointment scheduler for a hospital, let's say, then you can have different type of events. So for example, you can have appointments on the calendar, which is normally what the scheduler or calendar is used for. But you can also have other event types like blockouts. What are blockouts? Blockouts are basically a specific piece of time range where, in a hospital case, which the example we are discussing right now, the doctor won't be available, so that would be a blockout. That is, in that particular portion I will not schedule an appointment. So, and I will want to basically show that as well. So as far as this example, I have two separate event types. I have appointments as well, which I will show, and then I have blockouts as well, which I want to show. So in this particular example, I have three events. Let me remove it. So I have three events. Two of them are appointments and one is a blockout. So I would like to display them. Also, as you can see, I have an enum present here, and it has two status codes, pending and checked in. So a pending appointment is an appointment for which is pending. You haven't gone to that gone to get yourself checked, so that is our appointment is pending. A checked in appointment is basically when you went to the doctor and the checkup went, and then you or you checked in, basically you went to the doctor. That is a checked in status. And then there are other statuses as well for appointments, checked out and other stuff. But within the appointments as well, I would want that the pending appointments have a different color, so that the person who is viewing the calendar can know that, and the checked in appointments have a different color. So I have got this event status colors map, which I will use. And for these two appointments, one has the status P, which is pending, and one has a status checked in. So basically I'm trying to show you the possibilities of what you could do. So I have got two components, one for the blockouts and one for appointment, which you will see in a while when I would map it and use these components. So this appointment component, this information is basically coming from here. So location, status, resource, and address. And I'm basically showing the location here. I'm showing the resource here. Location would be the location of the appointment. Resource would be the person who would check me, doctor. Status is the status. I'm using it to color the appointment box, and I'm showing the address here. And same for blockout. Blockout is simple. It's just a gray box with the blockout name at the bottom, and it's a flex container which is justifying and aligning it to the center. So vertically, horizontally, it would be in the center. So let's see how it looks, and then you will see how basically how beautiful it would look. So let me use the components prop. So I would say here event, and this would take a component, and here I would get some props. Let me see what the props would be. Let me return null so that I don't get an error, and then pass these components here. Console, let me pass the events as well. So events is equal to events. Oh no, I'm not using this calendar. Yeah, so I am getting I'm console on the string props. Okay, so the props are the event, and then event has all this information which is for that particular event. So I will extract the event, then I will say data is equal to event dot data. Yeah, and then that data would have basically either appointment or block out based on what the event is. So yeah, so either an appointment or block out. So I will say if data appointment, then return the appointment event component and pass this appointment. If data block out, then return a block out event and then pass the block out here as a data. And then in other cases just return null. I don't want to show anything. So yeah, you can see how beautiful the events look in based on what was being shown previously. The default events look very weird. You can only show the start time, end time, and then the title, and you cannot show anything else. But if you use custom components, you can do anything. So this is a blockout. So in this case, as I explained before, a blockout is basically a scheduled piece of time where you cannot schedule an appointment because in a hospital's case, let's say the doctor may be busy, he has in this case Christmas holidays, so he's busy, he won't be able to see any patient. And in this case you can see that I had one appointment was pending, so I've given a bluish color, and then one appointment which was checked in, so I've given it a greenish color. So you can see how beautiful it looks, and how much customization is possible through Rackbay calendar. And this was just one thing. I've only changed the event, but you can literally pass a custom component for literally anything. You can pass a custom component for these time gutters, you can pass a custom component for the time gutter header, for the resource header, for the header you can see above, for the month headers and everything. So you can pass custom components for literally anything. So that is the power of Rackbay calendar. Okay, so that is done as well, but one thing is remaining. You have the power of passing two types of events in the Rackbay calendar: normal events and then background events. So background events, as the name suggests, would be in the background. Blockouts, and there are other event types as well, are in the background, because even if they are suggesting that you shouldn't place an appointment on top of them, you can sometimes, based on an emergency or something. So in that case, in the calendar, you would want that there is a blockout event, and then you would want the normal event to appointment to be on top of it. So let me see. So I can say appointments. Let me separate these events into appointments and blockouts, and then I will pass the blockouts array into the background events prop. So let me see. Events dot reduce. So first param is the accumulator, then is the event. So here I have appointments, blockouts. So I would say if event dot data dot blockout, then I want to act dot appointments dot push event. If there is a blockout, then I would want to push it to the blockouts, and then here I would return the accumulator. um yeah, as let me give it a type. So I can pass appointments here, and then I can pass background events here. um so now you can see, you can't really see a difference, but you will see it once I do this. So let me go to the data of the events, and let me change the time. So the block out is between, on the 12th date, between 9 to 14. So, and this is between 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., and this is between 9 p.m. to 2 p.m. So if I just change the day here, you can see that now the event is on top of it, which is cool. Also you can see that the default event styling is popping out, background event styling is popping out, because now I've changed the type of block out event to background events. So I can, copy the styles I had for event and place it for background event as well. So background, so now you can see that's gone. Cool. So now you can see that the event is on top. Cool. So yeah, so now we've seen custom components and all its glory. Yeah, so the next lesson is steps and time slots. So let me change the time as well, so that the component go to the previous position. And let me go to here. Cool. So what I would want is basically, if let me see, 1 second, let me remove this. Yeah, so let me make one styling change so that I can explain better. So border color, let's try that. Yeah, so that is cool. So basically you can see that as of now, by default you have a two time slots per hour, and then each time slots is of 30 minutes. So from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. there is one time slot, and then from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. there is one time slot. So this is the default setting, but you can change that. So you can, have variable number of time slots with variable number of minutes, the number of minutes it contains. So I can say time slots is equal to 2, and then I want a 60-minute portion, so that the time slot group is of 60 minutes as it is right now, but I want to change the number of time slots and the amount of minutes the time slot contains. So I can say time slots would be 4 and the step would be 15. So now you can see that there are 4 lines here. The step prop basically expects the number of minutes a time slot should hold. In this case I said 15, and you can see that these are 15 minutes, then another 15, these are 30 minutes, and then another 15, another 15. So 1 hour completes. So the step prop basically determines the number of times as time slot should hold. Time slots determines the number of time slots there should be present in 1 hour. So I said 4, so you can see that there are 4 time slots. I can also adjust it a bit more. I can say step is 10 and time slot should be 6. Notice that when I change the step, I change the time slots as well, because I want the its multiple to be 60 always, because that works properly. If you want to have a time slot group of like 90 minutes something, it won't work properly, but this works properly all the time. So I have now time slots of 10 minutes and there are 6 time slots. I can also change it to 5 and then I can change it to 12. You can see that I have now small time slots of 5 minutes and there are now 12 time slots in every hour. So this is how you can change the time slots to alter the calendar. And why would you want to do that? You can do that because if you are dragging the appointment, let's say, which I will talk in the next example. Right now you can see that I'm dragging the appointment, and that appointment, when I'm moving it up, it is basically going by 5-minute duration. So if you want that amount of granularity, then you will do that. If I remove the step and time slots prop, then the default steps are 30 and the time slots are 2. Now you can see that whenever I move it slightly up, it goes up by 30 minutes. So if you have a calendar and you have a drag and drop compatibility, or some feature where you can use the calendar to make appointments or change appointment time, then you will do that. You will select the step and time slot based on the amount of granularity you want the user to give. So right now I can't have an appointment where the starting time is, let's say, 9:15 a.m. because the time slots are 2 and they are of each of 30 minutes, so I can't really select that start time to be 9:15 a.m. So that is why you would want to change the time slots and step props and adjust them accordingly. Cool. So the last topic is drag and drop. Let me comment it. So you can see that by default drag and drop is working. This isn't actually the case. By default it doesn't work. First of all, you have to import the drag and drop from this particular path. So React Big Calendar lib add-ons drag and drop. So you will need to get this with drag and drop function. It is a higher order function. So basically you would pass the calendar component, React Big Calendar component inside it, and then it would basically return a React Big Calendar component with the drag and drop availability embedded in it. And then you have this type thing as well if you are using TypeScript. And then if you want to I think this is mandatory. So if I comment, it is still working, but as per the documentation, you will need the styles as well for drag and drop to properly work. So that is what it is. If I just use the calendar, by default I don't use D&D, the with drag and drop higher order component, then you can see that I cannot drag components. So this is a thing which you should keep in mind. So I am using this component by default in every file, so a drag and drop is already available to me. So this is how you will enable it. So I am here in drag and drop. Now there are some key things which you should keep in mind. So first of all, there is a property draggable accessor. So that is actually the property which the calendar will look at in order to see basically if you want that particular event to be draggable or not. So I can say, for now, let's say the property name is draggable. So on the event, this is the event. So on the event object itself, I can say is draggable is false for this, let's say, and is draggable is true for this. So for the pending, I've said is draggable should be true. For the checked in appointment, I've said it should be not draggable. So now you can see that I can drag and drop this appointment, but this is not draggable, so I cannot do anything with it. So one thing in mind, so the draggable accessor, let me close all the files. So this is a key property. Then we have another property which is resizable. So by default it's true. So you can see that when I hover over a draggable appointment, which in this case is only this, you can see that there are two resize handlers here as well. So I can resize the appointment up and down. So pretty cool. I can increase or decrease the time duration as well. So if I say resizable is false, then I would not be able to do that. When I would hover over the appointment, you will not be able to see the resize handlers. And then there is a function on drag start. So whenever the dragging will start, you will see some information about the dragging. So I drag it, you can see that this pops out. So action is moved, so I'm moving the appointment, and then direction is undefined because I can move it in any direction, so it doesn't really know. Then there is the event object, which corresponding to this event. Simple. Similarly, if I change the resizable to true and I resize it, you can see that now on drag start has run again, and then now you can see that the action is resize irrespective of the previous action which was moved, because I was moving the appointment, and then the direction is up, because obviously when I'm resizing, the direction would be either up or down. So now it has shown me the direction as well, and then the corresponding event object as before. So cool. So the most important function is on event drop and on event resize. So let me console log, let me paste the function here, and then on event resize as well, and then we will use these props as well. So let's see what on event drop and on event resize give us as well. They will give us the same thing basically. So I start to drag the appointment. I am basically, you can see that I'm dropping it on Friday and between 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 9 a.m. So when I drop it, you can see that the on event drop callback got fired, and it gave me the new end date. So the new end date is Friday 10 a.m. new start date, which is Friday 9 a.m. and then the event object which was present previously. So I can use this callback to basically set the start time and end time for the appointment, and then basically set the state, and then basically it will move it to the current time, which I will do right now. But let me see the result for on event resize as well. So I resize it. Now you can see that you saw that I resized it to 8 a.m. start time. So now you can see that the new start time is 8 a.m. The end time is obviously the same because I didn't move the end handler, resize handler, and then the event object, corresponding event object. So now let's make a state, and then we can use these functions to modify the time of these events. So basically do the dropping thing going on. So let me do the state. So I can say events set events is equal to use state events. So initially it would be the the constant array I've said, so the time would be this, but then I will change the time. So yeah, I don't need on drag start, so that can go. Yeah, so this is what the object would look like. So I can say, let me make one function because that will be reused in both. So I can say const on change event time is equal to use callback so this would take the start time, which would be date, end time, which would be date, and then the event, and then the ID, let's say appointment ID. In this case it would be number or undefined. Yeah, so I will say that I have the set events thing. I will pass in a function here where I will say prev events, and then basically I would map those prev events dot map. So event, if event dot id is equal to the, no, not event dot id, event dot data dot appointment dot id is equal to the appointment id I'm getting from the event, then I would want to change the event. Otherwise I will pass the event, normal event which is present previously. I'm not altering the time for that, so I will say dot 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 event start end. So I'm basically mapping the updated start and time I'm getting for this particular event. And then let me pass events here. Let me remove that as well because it's giving a type error for some reason. Okay, so I will do it here on the on event drop, and then we will, after testing, place it in the on event resize as well. So I will say start and event. So start would go here, end would go here, and then event data appointment id. Okay, a string is coming here. Let me refresh it. So now if I move it to another slot, another time range, you can see that it has moved because now I have changed the start and end time of this particular event. I can drag and drop it to whatever location I want, and it would be placed there. Now let's copy the same function over to on event resize so that it can be resized as well. So now let's refresh. Now you can see that I can resize it as well, and I can drag and drop as well. I can resize the end part as well as the start part, and I can also drag and drop. So this was the advanced React big calendar tutorial. And this tutorial we covered 4 things. We covered first of all, we customized the calendar. In the previous crash course I explained how you can do that, but in this particular tutorial we actually stylized it according to a certain theme that was blue and white. So if you have a certain app which has a specific color theme, you can change the look and feel of the calendar according to that. Then I basically made custom components for appointment and blockouts. I explained a scenario, in this case a hospital, where you can have different kind of events, you can have blockouts, you can have appointments, and how I basically displayed different UI for different appointment types, event types, and then within the event type itself, that is appointment, I had different appointment statuses. That is, one appointment was pending and one was checked in. So I basically had different colors going on for those different appointments as well, so that we can have a good UI for the whatever person is using the scheduler. Then we looked at steps and time slots and how you can use them to make increase granularity of the calendar. So basically the step size is the step prop, or the step size is basically the number of minutes in each slot, and slots are basically the amount of steps, minutes between each hour. So we saw how the time slot and step prop work and play out, and then at the end we saw how we can use the drag and drop API of React calendar to drag and drop events or resize the events. So I hope you like the tutorial. If you want any further explanation regarding the calendar, I can provide that as well. Any further specific thing regarding the calendar. If you want any further tutorial regarding React query, recoil, redux, anything, you can also request that down below. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.